It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Time for the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour. I'm your host, Maddie Margarita, here with Diana Pardee on tech. Every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., the Southern California Writers Association turns our Facebook page over to a new author to talk about their books and their work. This morning, we're pleased to have with us ML/Matt Buchman. Good morning, Matt. I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about you. Matt revels in writing tales of strong women in every walk of life, from Miranda Chase, his autistic plane crash investigator, to Emily Beale, the woman who is so good that she broke the gender barrier, flying secret military helicopters. Matt can sail a 50-foot boat, has ridden his bicycle around the world on his own, and has also flown and jumped out of planes. Hopefully not on the same trip.
No.
He says it's awesome what you can do with a degree in geophysics. He's been a full-time writer for over a decade. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, thank you.
Oh, okay. That's quite a bio.
That it built up over the years.
So what got you, when did you start writing? I guess
started writing
seriously is not the right word, but.
No, I started writing period at July 26, 1993 on my solo bike trip around the world. It was my midlife crisis on wheels, lost everything, business, career, house, the whole bit. And I got on a bicycle to straighten my head out. And along the way, I started writing my first ever, other than the obligatory teenage story, I started writing my first ever piece of fiction. And that turned into my first novel sale. Wind forward 16 years, and I managed to make the jump to full time. And I've been full time since 2012.
Okay, so you have gone from writing that fiction on the bike to writing thrillers, writing romance. Talk a little bit about your writing evolution and the multi-genre writing, because I'm always interested in people who write in different genres.
Boy, how to keep this short. I started out in fantasy, and I was looking for an idea. And I knew that, like, Sandra Brown had created romantic suspense by taking a female detective and putting her in a romance. Suzanne Brockman took Sandra Brown and put in a military person and created military romantic suspense. So I was looking for this idea. And one day, through a long story, I ended up stumbling on the Night Stalker Secret Helicopter Regiment. They're real life. They're the ones who flew into bin Laden's compound. Being a guy, I had to look at that application, right? Would I have qualified back in the day? Hell no. But this is 2006, and the second line down said women may not apply. And there was my idea. The woman who was so good they couldn't keep her out. So suddenly I was writing military romantic suspense coming out of a fantasy background. I sold 13 books traditional and wrote another 30 books underneath it in that world, and 70 short stories, and created the Emily Beale universe. So there was suddenly this huge block of 8 or 10 years of writing romance, which I love. I love the genre. But then my reviews kept saying, hey, you're getting thriller reviews. And so I decided to try writing thrillers. And I'm now just released yesterday, number 13 in my Miranda Chase thriller series.
That's Osprey, right?
That's Osprey, which I don't have a paper copy of yet, but this is the cover, if we can see that. So she's an autistic air crash investigator who ends up in the middle of geopolitical crises she has no way to understand. And it's all up to her to save the day.
So, okay, that's a big personality and that's a big check to write on that. So how do you go about making her feel authentic and relatable? And where do you get the voice from so that she does feel relatable and authentic in her setting, or the setting you create for her?
An immense amount of research is behind it. I research on the average an hour for every 2.5 that I write. And I do that because I want that authenticity. I want that realism. The Miranda voice took me 3 or 4 years to build. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out who she was. Um, my kid is in autism therapy for little kids, so she can't help me with the adults, but she was bringing the books into the house from the time she was 15. And so we were all reading them together, Temple Grandin and so on. And it was like, she kept building, and she's also parts of me. Norman Mailer says a character has to be 5% you to come to life. And I think it's more like 25%.
I was just gonna say, at least, right?
At least.
Right.
And there are pieces of me that are in Miranda. There are pieces of me that like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I could be that way? She's introverted. I've always been socially a klutz. She's socially completely lost. So I took those feelings inside and I extended them into the character, figuring out what trap I wanted to build around that personality. And she just came to life.
You know, it's interesting. You know, I have the same kinds of conversations with paranormal writers and supernatural writers. When you write characters who don't see the world the same way that most people do, and who don't organize thoughts and perceptions and reality the same way that most people do, how you get readers to relate to them, and again, feel authentic. Do you think about that when you're writing, or do you feel like because you spent so much time on her voice that it now comes out of you?
It now comes out of me, but I need to be very thoughtful about, is this her? And I've written so many books. I've got 76 novels and massive short stories. My hands will actually come up off the keyboard and I'll look at them and I'll go, what just happened? And it's because I walked off the character's voice. And the character saying, no, I'm not going to talk to you. And I go back and I look and delete 3 paragraphs. And there's where the voice went sideways, or 3 chapters, which has happened.
Well, talk a little bit about the plot for Osprey. And now it's and the setting, because this is different, right? It's historical.
No,
No?
they're all
They have-
present.
Okay, go ahead.
I actually have been told never write historical by very prominent historical editors.
What is
that
the
I
year?
submit to.
What is the year it's set on?
It's set current day,
2023.
2023.
Okay.
And Russia is always doing these, and China are always doing these close flybys where they come right alongside our aircraft, or they knock that drone out of the sky, and what if something went wrong? What if there was one mistake too far? Does that become war? Because it's that close, it's that ugly out there. And that's part of what I write, is trying to show the geopolitical landscape we live in, to get people to think about it, to just be aware of what's happening around us. So I take it one step too far, where the pilot of the Russian craft also goes down, and she's a daughter of the oligarchy. Suddenly, the highest level of Russia is involved and angry, and America is the one that got clipped, and it was purely an accident. What happens? Miranda Chase, autistic heroine who doesn't understand people, that's her blank spot, ends up right in the middle.
Big
And the
blank
rest
spot.
of it, and the rest of it's just, she sees the plane. So I anchored her at Menwith Hill, which is one of the 3 big satellite monitoring spy bases that we maintain around the globe. And she's sitting there in the midst of all this intelligence, trying to piece together what happened and how to stop it.
So, what is her special superpower?
Her
that,
special
um,
superpower is planes. The way the story's set up, her parents went down on TWA 800, which was the 747 that crashed off Long Island in 1996. She was 13, so they call it a special interest in autism. She made planes her special interest, and that was it. How planes crash and how to make them safer so that other people don't die the way her parents did. And that's her superpower. She can see the 3D mechanics. She can see the interaction of the mechanics. She doesn't understand people at all. So she has, I call it outsourcing her brain. She has around her the muscle, the personality guy, the rationalist, the big picture person, and she sees plain.
That, you know, it sounds great. I can see it on it as a Netflix series. I
Me
can,
too.
yeah. If you're listening, we'll get Matt's contact information is below.
Right.
So we know about Miranda, but so what do you think your superpower is for writing and sustaining your career as a writer and having a legion of fans? And what can people expect from your books? And think you
It's always going to, it's always going to be so many things. I love writing about strong women. And that's actually for me, even the romances, I get lots of notes from fans saying, I love your men. They're so amazing. I'm writing for the woman. I love these. They're not necessarily kick-ass. Some of them are quiet beta girl next door, but they're people. They aren't women. They aren't a lesser gender. They're people, and they're out there with their own problems. And I try to make the men and the women as real as I can. I actually just 2 days ago finished a Kickstarter for a new book on how to write men in romance, because I'm trying, I had to research and learn how to do that myself, because I was better at writing the women. So beyond Prince Charming, if I can get it out of the sun there, romantic hero.
So you said that's available tomorrow?
It came out of a Kickstarter 2 days ago. It will be on storybundle.com for the NaNoWriMo promotion, which runs October 4th through November 30th. And then after that, it'll be for sale on my site.
That's amazing. And as if that's not enough, you also have a magazine, right? That you
I do.
You want to talk a little bit about that before we sign off?
When I switched over to thrillers, I've written a lot of romance short stories. I can put a whole romance in 8,000 to 10,000 words. I love doing it, from the meet cute to the happy ever after. I sat down to start writing thriller stories, and their structure is so different that I didn't have a handle on it. And I thought, how can I promote thriller short fiction? How can I learn about thriller short fiction? And how can I promote myself to other thriller writers' audiences? So I founded Thrill Ride the magazine, which is a quarterly themed anthology. So 2023, it was Honor, Unlikely Partners, Betrayal, and no Western white males, because there's so many Western white males in thrillers. I did a whole issue that's allowed no short stories to Western white males. And I'm the editor of this. And we're now open for submissions on 2024 at thrillridemag.com. Just so I can learn about.
When's the deadline for 2024?
December 31 for all 4 issues. The themes are up on the site. Lone wolves, sisters in arms, gadgets. It's fun. If you're not having fun, your audience knows. And you got to have fun in every book, every story, every character, or it shows.
It comes through. Readers are very perceptive.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think from talking to you, if you're a writer and you want to do a deep dive into brand development, take a look at Matt's website, take a look at what he does. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort to put into it. You can see that this is your passion. If you're a reader, you have a number of choices from present to a little bit in the past. When I keep reading that from 1975 forward is historical fiction. So that always, you know, gives me a little upset stomach when I think about 1975 being historical fiction.
Yeah, I remember that year really clearly.
But if you're looking for a thriller, if you're looking for romance, you could go ahead and Matt is going to be checking into our Facebook page if you have questions or comments for him. He will be there. We wish you the best of luck on Osprey and on your new book. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to check out your Kickstarter. Remember, there is
that's closed, but I'll put a link on it.
right.
So
Right.
where to go
And then
as soon as it goes live.
and we'll have you back and maybe you can talk to us about Kickstarter.
Glad to.
Right.
This is my third.
Okay, so we'll hope you join us again. Best of luck in the future. Thank you for being here. Matt, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. You will find us here next week, Wednesday at 10 a.m. on the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour.